I'm gonna move this away from your face because it's a little weird.
This one?
We're just like,
Hi,
hey,
hi.
hey, what's up?
We're going to do this QA as a duet off one mic.
Hey everyone, it's the Friday Q&A. This is episode I don't remember.
I don't know.
I'm here with Adam.
Hi.
Adam, you haven't been on the Q&A yet. Please introduce yourself.
No, not only have I not been in the Q&A yet, I haven't really been at the office that much.
That's true.
I think this is like my 7th total day in this office space. Anyway, I'm Adam. You may have seen me do some of our streams from my house in Ontario, Canada, but today I'm here in the office.
Yes.
And I'll be here. I have been here all week, and I'll be here next week as well.
We used a teleporter and we teleported you here.
Yeah. Some experimental Astroneer technology that we went ahead and built in the real world.
Yes.
Before, I don't know why we just didn't put it in the video game, but yeah.
Yeah.
Teleporter
We're
worked.
working on now getting it into the video game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Friday Q&A, we answer your questions from YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Reddit and the forums and emails and lots of different places. We have a few questions today. There's some important ones. There's some fun ones. Let's just start.
Sure.
Question 1 is from Fidelio. Just Fidelio, 6 days ago. And the question is, for a space-based game, there's not really anything to do in space besides travel. Will that change in the future?
So I guess they're talking about like not when you're on a planet.
Yes. So
like in space,
technically
like when you're in the solar view.
Yeah, technically you're in space, but once you
Right.
get off the surface of a planet, will that gameplay change?
It might. I mean, the original fantasy of Astroneer was not really about like space travel.
Right.
It was more that like personal interplanetary experience on these exoplanets that nobody's ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least for me personally, when we were thinking of the game, we just sort of felt that so many other games do space travel already,
Right.
and they do really good jobs of it. That for us to really explore that as a theme in the game, might not be that fruitful for us from the kind of experience that we're trying to build of being an astronaut, or in our case, an astroneer, alone on a planet. So really, we sort of automate a lot of that process and use space as a context for user experiences and user interfacing. And that's why things like the solar view are prevalent there. So we might. I mean, a lot of people have expressed interest in zero gravity.
Right.
Space stations is like a noun that gets thrown around a lot that people seem to want to play around with. That we of course we're interested in. There's a space station in the game now, but it's kind of weird in how you get there.
Yes.
So I think it's not immediately, and if we do, that seems like really great future content for when we're out of 1.0.
Right.
For us to explore, and especially when we're getting into, like we just saw today.
Don't reveal anything.
I won't, but we saw some modularity
Yes, we did.
that I think got the team incredibly excited. I think I heard a whoop in the background.
Oh, there was some clapping. There was some
clapping and some
whooping.
whooping. From what I saw there, it would make sense that maybe we do some space vehicles out of that as well. So it's hard to say, but I think for now we're just really focused on that interplanetary experience with friends and strangers.
Yes, I agree. I've had some awesome suggestions about things that we could do, like there's satellites in the game and you can go to derelict space stations, but it definitely seems like that's sort of a post 1.0 area.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, but I think there are also ways that we can make space travel more friendly, maybe, right? Like the current system is kind of just like
It's a little automated.
point and click.
Right. Yeah, and that's true. I'm sure there's ways that we can make it more interactive.
Yes.
Especially the solar view. I'm interested in exploring the solar view
Right.
just as a mechanic in general. Because right now you just kind of see a planet. You can see the gas range on your vehicle, the hydrazine range.
Right.
And then you can see planets orbiting. But maybe maybe there's more information that we show in there from from planets.
Maybe there's some like surveying that you can do from space in order to like
Yeah.
see the area that you like. There's some science you can do up there and sort of like scope out the area down below and then go do it or something. Like,
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think that speaks to probably what this person was asking about
Right,
of like spaceships flying around. But no, I think space that's like a blank canvas for us to do some stuff on.
Yes.
I don't know if it'll be vehicles yet.
Okay. Next question is from Last Turn. Will there be in-game voice chat when you guys make this fully multiplayer? This question gets asked a lot as well. We haven't really addressed it publicly. I think you've addressed it sort of like on your own channels, but I think it's important to talk about.
Yeah, so I think so in-game voice chat is a kind of a funny one. I mean, arguably you could say that we have it now, but not in our game. It's just the only ways that you can play the game. Those platforms support peer-to-peer communication through mic. So,
Right.
But the caveat there is that you can only do that with people on your friends list. And really, it's not like in-game. And, you know, once we go to dedicated servers and you're playing persistently online and there's the chance of coming across a stranger, you know, if we had just the system that we have now, you would not be able to use a mic with them.
Right.
So on the topic of just actual mic support between strangers, my personal feeling is no, not to do that, or at the very least make it a thing that both parties have to opt into before
Yes.
there's actual direct communication. So that's not to say that you can't communicate with other players.
Of course. Goes back to the previous thing where it's like, you want this thing, but we can think of an interesting way to make it fit our game.
Yeah, and I don't think our game is this sort of soapbox for people to stand on and say whatever strange things they want to say to a bunch of other strangers.
Right.
However, you know, one of the things that we talked about today was also ownership. I won't say too much about that, but the idea of like who owns what, and how do we invite people into that in the online persistent side of the game. And I think that, you know, let's say that you and I are friends. We're on a server together. I have you on my friends list, but you come over to my base and I mark you in the game as a friend, like an ally. I think that would be interesting, that once that connection's happened, then we have an open mic to each other.
Right.
And that I could do that with a stranger as well. So if a stranger comes over and we communicate through the other communication method in the game that we're interested in exploring, which is like waving and emotes and emojis and talking that way, that through that, should you both decide to become friends in the game, that then you might have a two-way microphone connection.
Right. We want to create ways to make friends in the game, right? Like we want it to be a friendly experience.
But we also want to avoid, you know, if I'm playing Astroneer and I'm hearing somebody's like poor choice in music,
yes,
or they're saying things that is just ignorant,
yes,
I'm gonna kind of not like the experience that much, I think, or at least my immersion in that is gonna be pulled out.
Right.
So we just want some control over that.
I don't want to hear Ja Rule while I'm in space. Is what I.
Oh well, we should take Ja Rule out of the game because I know what you mean. Note to self: delete the Ja Rule soundtrack out of Astroneer.
Especially because it's also a game for a variety of demographics.
A wide demographic.
Yes.
Everybody can play Astroneer, and not everybody is going to want to hear
or should hear
some things that can't be heard.
Yes.
In certain other games.
Okay, cool. Next question is from. Oh wow! I picked a question from the same person, but two separate questions.
Oh really?
And
what
separate places.
What are the days apart? The same?
One is 6 days, and then one is 2 days ago.
Oh, who's the user?
Last turn.
Yeah, thanks for the questions.
You killed it.
A few days apart too.
Yeah, and thanks for coming back.
Where do these come from, by the way?
So these ones specifically are from the YouTube channel. Okay. It's actually comments. It's responses to the previous Q&A.
Oh yeah, great.
I like doing that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a good. So last turn asks, how about the seat glitch Kappa? If you don't know what Kappa is
that a Twitch thing?
It's a Twitch emote. That's sort of like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I know. I think I know Kappa.
Coy face.
I'm down with it. I know how to do the Macarena.
So the seat glitch. To explain the seat glitch before we get in any further, we've addressed it before. It's basically this like pretty hard thing to pull off where you essentially get a one seat, you get into it and do something. I won't give you all the steps, but it allows you to basically fly around freely around the game.
Right.
And in some ways, people actually use it right now to get around bugs. You know, if your rover flies into space or your items get tossed far away from you and you can't reach them, they use this to get around that. We obviously don't want that.
And I avoid that bug myself, so that's why I don't have a lot of experience with it.
Yes.
Can somebody use it to fly to another planet?
I don't think so. I think
because I was gonna say we could tell the first question person to just do the glitch bug to fly around space.
I think it doesn't allow you to fly to other planets. I think it goes to like the physical constraint of the world where like
the voxel volume.
Seal,
Okay. So the question is, what's going on with that?
Yeah, they're just curious about it. I want to address it because it is a thing that we know about.
It is a thing we know about. It's actually a thing we tried to patch once before.
Yes.
Apparently that did not go over well. No. Obviously, it's not a feature of the game. However, I think you know, just being responsible developers and I guess product owners to get really kind of businessy, which I hate talking, that we sort of need to acknowledge why people might be using it.
Yes.
And work on features and implement changes and updates to the game to scratch the same itch that seat thing does. Now, granted, that seat seems extremely OP.
It's ridiculous.
And you can travel around and stuff like that. So,
yes.
You know, maybe you can build a shuttle that goes like that and goes that fast, but it's like a late game thing. You've really earned it.
Right.
It's expensive on or on hydrazine.
You get an amazing jetpack in the late game.
So I think we always wanted to have that, and it's like the bug is just really kind of cool for us to see that happening. Unfortunately, it's
so the reason why I sort of I'm not against it right now is because people use it to build huge structures. Like physically, you can't climb up. If like one guy made
interesting.
One guy made like a Big Ben, right?
Right.
And it's like I can't necessarily climb up it. I'm not going to design stairs in it.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm just going to like use the seat glitch, then fly to the top, and then add like my tethers, which are the clock.
Yeah.
And like, it's really the only way to do it. So you're like, okay, you know what? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So actually, maybe this is a good
segue.
A way for me to go back in time a little bit. When we did the augments and terrain update, we originally actually wanted to include this vehicle chassis that we were calling the Hopper.
Oh.
Which actually got cut for time. And now with the new change that we're going with modularity, it might not have a chance. But the Hopper was essentially going to be something like the chair glitch that would let players interact with terrain as a medium where they can just sort of sculpt things like as if it's clay, and it's just this thing that like it was like you would stand on it and it would just kind of fly you around vertically, horizontally along all three axes to access. So again, if you're building the Big Ben,
right,
you could go up to the clock face and build it, or at the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Interesting.
CN Tower.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so we actually had a vehicle in mind that was, I think, inspired by people's enjoyment out of that bug.
Right.
So yeah, it's on our radar. I just don't think that right now we have an immediate plan for it.
No.
Not certainly after I saw all the badass stuff that Aaron and the other designers had shown today.
Yes. I also think it comes out of this concern that like people, a lot of people that play the game played Minecraft, and they go, well, if I have creative mode, I can just fly around and do whatever I want.
We get that. For sure we get that. And we are very aware of that, at least that portion. So it's a bug. It'll probably get patched, which I'm sure some people will be sad about. Yes. But we acknowledge what it brought to the game, and that we would be fools not to sort of explore that again. But right now we're just sort of frying much larger fish right now.
We're just kind of ignoring this thing over there, but eventually the gaze will get put on it, and we'll have to get rid of it.
If we were 40 people, I'm sure that somebody would be working on that.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, and segueing into the next question, which is, this is more of a generic question that I just wanted to address.
Okay.
There was so if you didn't know, we worked with a company called Fangamer to launch some merch this past week.
Yep.
That was a big that was something that I didn't actually work on at all, which is interesting. But it happened. Can you just talk about that, and then the subsequent perception that because merch got launched, that somehow impacted the development of the game?
Right. Or I think also there was just some general consensus amongst people that criticized it that why are we putting out a product when their game's not even done?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Which is fine. I understand that. So. You just want me to talk about that?
Just
that
address it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think for as many people that saw something maybe shady in that area, there is probably 10 times the amount of people that were asking us daily for merchandise to play this because they're fans of what we were doing. And that, while we are in early access and we're very early in pre-alpha, we are still a product that people can get their hands on, they spend their money on. And they, we recognize, and especially myself, because I also participate mostly in early access games.
Right.
Shout out to Northgard because I'm playing that game a lot right now. It's great. Check it out on Steam.
Or the Long Dark.
They just came out of. I think they just are coming out of.
I participated in that whole process.
Yeah. That me being a fan of Northgard, I would totally wear a shirt like that right now, even though I know that the product's not done. It might not ever even get finished.
Right.
But as a fan of it, I would like to do that, and I think that's where we saw people coming from. On the flip side of that, I can see that perception of game's not done. We talk a lot about the size of our team being small. So if the perception is one or two or three of us stopped for a few weeks to work on merchandise, that's a quarter or a third of the team that's not working on the game, and that's why we didn't do the merch first party. We didn't do it ourselves.
Yes.
We met Fangamer at, I believe it was PAX West. They had merchandise for one of my favorite games, which is Papers, Please. I loved the product. After
they did an amazing job with it.
After I had got it, it's actually one of my favorite shirts that I own right now. And we talked to them. We got an idea of the services that they offer, and basically we could come up with a small merch line, t-shirts and some pins and lapels, and Fangamer hoodies as well. Yeah, and Fangamer would take the brunt of the load for us, and that's our approach to many things in the game. So while there's 12 of us at the company, we actually work with outsourcing as well. So we do a lot of our QA testing through outsourcing. We have a couple artists that we work with that help us out here and there.
Our soundtrack is outsourced.
Our whole soundtrack is outsourced with Machine Fabrique. And that merchandise is really just another thing that happens like that. So it's sort of like if you're upset with seeing a company put out merchandise, I can get that. But just understand, I guess, that we didn't do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So we give direction and stuff, and we worked with the design on that, but it wasn't a huge chunk of time. It was like probably at most over the entire period, I've probably spent 3 hours of my entire time interfacing with Fangamer. I would say actually if there's any developers watching that are interested in that sort of stuff, I have to give a shout out to Fangamer because they're really great.
Yeah, and they even had like their own designers work on the designs. And
it wasn't even us that did the designs. I didn't have to waste because I'm the only artist right now.
Yeah,
I didn't have to spend a single ounce of my time designing stuff for the game.
Right.
And we gave direction, so we knew what they would come up with would be sort of something that we gel with, but it wasn't me doing that stuff.
And also there's a sort of perception that like if there's anything that's done that's not developing the game, then like there is no development happening. And it's just, even though we are a small team, it doesn't work like that, right? Like I'm working on communication stuff. That doesn't stop Andrew from fixing bugs. That doesn't stop Zabir from working on Terrain 2.0. Like
you and I are
siloed off enough.
You and I are doing what time is it right now?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So I've been here since 9:30.
Yes.
I already had a full day's worth of work.
Yes.
And so we find the time to do these kind of things. That isn't like 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm in the middle of something.
Exactly.
It's 6 o'clock on a Friday. So this is actually going out hours from now. We're actually recording it on a Friday.
If that was the case, then people should be really mad at me for like taking Gene's time for 20 minutes, right? Like,
right.
We can do multiple things at once.
Absolutely. I think that's just us maximizing our time. We could have not put shirts out for sure. But we wanted to because I guess we want shirts as well.
I can't wait for them.
We made our own that we got printed off of a website somewhere, and we have like 10 type of thing. But no, this is just something that we wanted to do. We recognize a fan base that was there that was asking for them. We have family members that are asking for merchandise that we just couldn't do. So it was just a great solution there. And the actual product that came out of that
came out awesome.
Dope.
Yes.
So good.
Okay, so to wrap that up, totally understand why someone might think that took a lot of time. We're here to clear up the fact that it didn't, and also just to talk about generally the fact that there's lots of things happening. There's lots of moving parts when it comes to development, and just because you don't see the one thing that you're super concerned about being worked on doesn't mean that it's not happening. Yeah, there's so many things happening.
Yeah, I guess it's not because of shirts that our updates don't have a lot of content in them.
Right.
It's because we're a pre-alpha game and we're all working hard on these tasks that take a very long time to go through.
Yes.
And that's why we go outsourcing for certain things.
All right, so that's it for this episode of the Q&A. It's been a very long one.
Yeah, that was hours.
You talked a lot.
I'm a windbag. It's warm in here, actually. I've been talking so much.
And we drank wine. You can send us your questions on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Reddit, and the Steam forums.
Can I add you on Facebook as a friend?
Please don't. Can
I come to your house?
We read all the stuff. We pick questions every week, and we answer them on the Friday.
I'm going to write you a letter. Dearest Joe.
Please don't.
What do you think of...
This was supposed to be a quick ending, and now look at this.
It's even longer.
Now it's even longer than the previous ending. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Toodaloo.